Hey, friends, how's it going? Very good morning. I'm going to talk now about the topic of boards, specifically high-end boards. It's a very delicate subject. There are also three things they won't tell you: how humidity affects them, obviously also temperature, and direct sunlight. Another thing they won't tell you is how to store them, how to maintain them. And finally, well, they also won't tell you what kind of care you need to take if it's satin, matte, semi-gloss, or glossy finish. In my case, I have all types. Right now, I'm going to quickly show you which ones they are, and I'll tell you the way to store them as well. One thing is storing them, like I talked about with the boxes, which didn't need to be fancy, and I already explained why. And another thing is transporting them. For example, about the boxes, that's something I forgot to mention to you. Those boxes are useful if you're going to transport them from one place to another on the same day, if you're going to play with your friends at someone's house or visiting, or if you're going on a trip. If you won't be gone for long, maybe a day or two, then you can use this type of box to carry them. But the best thing to do is, when you have your pieces, to keep them in a pine box, like I mentioned before, and it works well. In the case of boards, it's more difficult because it's a big board, it's bulky, and you're not going to, well, if you want, you can have a pine box made so it can breathe, but I'll just tell you what you need to do to store it for the short, medium, and long term. Just a heads up, I'm also talking about short-term storage here. And what are those bags they sell you actually for? Well, Royal Chess, Chess Bazaar, House of Staunton, Indian Chess, Compa, I can't remember the name. There's another one from the UK and so on. I mean, all the high-end stores are going to offer you, like I said, it's just marketing bags so you can protect and store your boards. They are effective and useful, but only for transport. So you don't just carry it around like that, or wrapped in a cotton cloth so it doesn't get scratched or banged up. Even so, they have their limitations, but they're really just to keep your board from getting bumped or scratched, or to cushion it a bit from the environment. But they're not meant for you to, like, your bag arrives all nice, you put your board in there and leave it for a month, a week, or until you use it again, whether you keep it in a closet or in a drawer. I wouldn't recommend storing it inside that bag for long periods. It's the same as what I explained about the luxury boxes, because if you're going to store it, it's best to use the cheapest option for indefinite storage. For this type of board, any board, really, what you should use is, for example, what Royal Chessman does in many cases. They give you this cloth, which is actually 100% cotton fabric. This is what you're going to use to store it, and really, it's just for storage, preferably in your closet or in a drawer. There's a video where I used a drawer that I lined with fiberglass, which was actually very cheap to keep, well, the the humidity at optimal levels, So that the changes too, because what really affects it is the humidity, sudden changes in humidity more than anything. Those abrupt changes are what can cause these boards to crack. So this is more than enough, or you can have a cover made out of cotton, 100% cotton, like a pillowcase, depending on the size of your board, and then you can store them there. Just make sure it's inside a drawer, in a cool, dry place, or standing up inside a closet without any problem. Obviously, this won't protect them from scratches, so you need to be careful where you store them. The bag, yes, but never ever. Make sure you remember this. Never leave them stored in the bag they come with, sometimes as a gift, which is rare, or if you buy it. That bag is only useful for transporting it for a day or just for the same day. Then you should return and store it again in your cotton bag. Don't put it in the cotton bag and then put that inside the other bag either, because those also have polypropylene. So it's the same, it's similar to what I told you about wood when it's varnished. It won't let the wood breathe. So yeah, boards are very delicate. I'm going to talk about the level of care needed when you're about to buy one, which they also don't tell you, by the way. I'm going to go from those that need the most care to those that need the least. This one is intermediate. Here I have another one. This one is also from Royal Chessman. This board has a glossy finish, completely like a mirror, right? This particular finish doesn't allow the wood to properly breathe. It certainly doesn't permit the wood to respire in a truly natural and organic way. Why is this the case? Because quite obviously, what the lacquer fundamentally does is to effectively prevent any moisture from getting into the wood's cellular structure, but it also, crucially, prevents any moisture from getting out of it either. So in this case, temperature is going to have an effect. If, for example, the board starts to heat up, the moisture that's trapped inside will evaporate, and just like I explained with the pieces, it will look for the weakest spot, and over time it's going to crack, okay? So all of this is basic physical chemistry and thermodynamics. So what are you going to do? For example, with this board here, it's the same thing. This board you see here, you're going to put it in just the same way, okay? Exactly the same in a 100% cotton cover. I'm going to wrap it up. If I want, I can also put a sheet over it as long as it's also cotton. Don't use anything made of polyester or polystyrene, and I store it so that it doesn't accumulate condensation. I keep it in a cool, dry place in a drawer, and I can put those sheets around it so it doesn't get scratched or cracked if it gets bumped. Because the bags are really only useful to prevent scuffs and scratches, or if you go out and it rains or something, so it doesn't get wet, but that's it. They're not meant for you to store it in them forever. So take it out, keep it in your closet, and use this kind of cover. At Royal Chess, it actually comes as a gift, and if not, you can have one made. It's really cheap. You can go to a tailor and have them make it to fit. I mean, it's really like what I said about the boxes. You can go to a carpenter and have them made to measure. It's very inexpensive. Honestly, that's all you need. The rest is just marketing. The next board you see here is semi-glossy. It's a semi-gloss inlaid finish. This one is made of Paddock. The one I showed you earlier was ebony and maple. This one is maple and Paddock. Semi-glossy, right? Here you can see a bit of the shine. It's a little less delicate than the glossy finish. The wood breathes a bit more. It can last longer in a carrying bag, but still, same care applies. You have to use 100% cotton cloth. It's cased for long-term storage, which is the one I already showed you. So, on top of the same one, I'm going to show you another board that breathes even more. These are no longer high-end because they're basically look but don't touch boards. I mean, play with it occasionally and that's it, because if you ever drop a piece, it'll leave a mark. The mark stays and it's impossible to remove it. Even I wouldn't dare to restore it, you know? So its value drops a lot. It's really just for very occasional play, for collectors, and pieces that you have to move with extreme care, because if you drop them from even 5 or 6 centimeters, forget it, they'll leave a mark. This already happened to me. You can't see it here. Maybe it doesn't show because I was able to restore it well. I managed to restore it well, but a piece fell here. I don't know if you can notice it, hopefully not, but luckily I was able to fix it, though it's not the same anymore. You have to be very careful because with those boards, before buying them, that's something you need to know as well. Many people get excited, open them, put pieces in, and boom, the king falls. Sometimes it doesn't leave a mark, sometimes it does. You must be very careful. Boards for heavy use are also high-end luxury. We've already talked about glossy finish, semi-gloss finish. Then there's the satin finish. This board I have here is from House of Staunton. Right now, I'm not going to talk about the squares. What matters to me is the material. This is a more breathable material. This one is veneered. The other two were inlaid, so they're more delicate. Why? Because we have more solid wood. It's covered with a layer of lacquer that doesn't let it expand or contract according to the environment, and over time that can break it. This one doesn't have that issue. This one is veneered. It has a mahogany frame, but it's also veneered. This board is more dynamic. It's more robust in the sense that it can withstand more environmental conditions. This board can actually withstand being in those bags that House of Staunton, Royal Chessmen sell you for a longer time. I'm not sure if Chess Bazaar sells them too. Yeah, these can last longer on a trip, for example. You could be gone for 3 or 4 days and keep it stored in there without much trouble, unlike the glossy or semi-glossy ones, because this one breathes more. Plus, the wood is veneered. Here it's ebony and maple veneer, mahogany veneer, and the plywood is natural wood. It could even be pine wood. I'm not going to unveneer it right now, but these boards hold up better in that kind of bag. However, it's the same. If you're going to store it for a long time, wrap it in cotton fabric, like in cotton sheets if you want, so it doesn't get scratched, and that's more than enough. This one has a satin finish. And finally, well, back here I have another one, which also has a glossy finish. It's similar to the one from Royal Chess, except this one is from Tag Chess Store. I'll show you later. This is the board, well, let's say it's really a battle board. You could even say it's a more purist board for purist and orthodox collectors. It doesn't have a finish, lacquered, much less semi-gloss or glossy, which is what lacquer is. No, it doesn't have a satin finish. It's a 100% matte finish, 100% wood, let's say, with grain that you can feel to the touch. Yes, it's very well polished, but it doesn't have anything else, just a natural wax. This type of board can definitely last much longer in a luxury bag. You can take them on a trip, I don't know, for a week, 15 days, and there won't be any problem. but in the long run, you still have to use cotton fabric. This one is also from House of Stutan, this board. I bought this one at an outlet. It has a few minor imperfections. Those who have bought at outlets before know what I'm talking about. But you still have to store it in a cotton cloth. So that's about taking care of boards, and those are the types of boards you'll find on the market. So the first two are basically look but don't touch, or look and play with extreme care, because otherwise any bump will leave a permanent mark, or if I store it incorrectly, the lacquer can peel off, they can crack, and especially if it's ebony, the inlaid squares can break. For example, you can see on this board, I don't know if you can make it out, but here there's a thickness that's about, the other day I measured it, it's 3 millimeters, 2.5 millimeters, and there's still another millimeter underneath. Since it's more solid, obviously, it's like I was saying about thick, hard, and dense woods like paddock or ebony, their expansion or contraction is more difficult, depending on changes in humidity and temperature, and over time that can make them brittle. What should you do to take care of them in the long run? Only use cotton cloth, store it in a closet or a drawer, somewhere cool and dry. And one more thing as a final tip. If you take your board with you, when you travel, or if you're going to transport it from one place to another in those bags, which, by the way, are great for preventing bumps and keeping it free from scratches. Obviously, if you drop it, it won't withstand the fall, but it will protect it a lot from handling, just from that kind of mechanical handling. Be very careful when you go to open it. It's the same thing. If you transported it and left your house, let's say right now I have 29 degrees and 55% humidity. If I go somewhere colder, the bag will protect it from the environment, but it will literally keep the same humidity inside. If I take any board right now and put it in that bag, it's basically going to keep an internal humidity of 55%. The temperature will go down, but the humidity will stay at 55%. If I'm going to travel to a place with higher humidity, like a tropical area, or somewhere colder and drier with less humidity, I need to wait to open it until I arrive and, let's say, let it air out and acclimate. I have to leave the bag on the bed or in the room where I'm going to play for at least 2 hours, so it sits there for a good while, so that when you open it, it doesn't suddenly feel that sharp, sudden change in humidity. Obviously, it's not like you'll open it and it'll break right away, but you will be causing it some damage. You will be causing a damage that is often microscopic, but it's degenerative over time, irreversible, and after taking it back and forth, taking it out and putting it back in, and not paying attention to those parts, those details, one day you'll open it and you might find it broken, just like what happens with chess pieces. So those are the precautions you need to take. That's another thing I told you. Well, I tell you they don't mention this, and with glossy or semi-glossy finishes, or even fully glossy ones, they don't tell you about it either. It's not just about being careful so the pieces don't fall, especially since they're heavy. You also have to protect it from scratches, because a scratch can't be removed, and it also prevents the wood from breathing freely. Having a lacquered board with a glossy or semi-glossy finish is similar to having a piece made of pure ebony. It's the same, it requires the same care. It will look very beautiful, but if you don't take care of it over time, it's going to get ruined. That's also why they only give a 6-month warranty in general, because these are larger pieces, and since they're bigger, they're more resistant to letting moisture escape, only to letting it out, and they crack usually along the most sensitive grain. The smaller pieces, there are pieces that, I haven't mentioned this, but chess pieces or any wooden piece, for example, made of ebony, if it's smaller like this one I got as a gift from Royal Chess, which is an ebony piece, but it's a keychain, it's more stable. Why? Because it doesn't have very thick layers, so the moisture here escapes or enters very quickly because it's small. But when it's very large and thick, it's much harder for the moisture to move, and that's when it cracks. Similar with chessboards. So boards that you can use every day and that are also very nice and are mid-range, like the one I'm telling you about here, matte finish, usually from House of Stanton. Royal Chess also has them, it's just a matte finish. And you can use the satin finish, which is almost shiny, but not quite, it's semi-gloss. That also works very well, and there are veneered ones too. Now, if I go up from there to this one, or like the one I showed you, which is a 100% glossy finish, be very careful. It's a look but don't touch situation. Take good care of it. And that's something they won't tell you. Everyone comes in, you watch videos, and they open it up. It's so pretty and everything. They give you the bag, but they don't explain, hey, the bag is just for transport. That's it. Don't go putting it in your drawer thinking you're protecting it, because it's actually the opposite. So if I take this one right now, it's going to have a humidity of 56 inside the bag. When I get to the place where I'm going to play, or I'm going to play with my friends at someone else's house, and I open it right away, but over there it's hotter, maybe, I don't know, 35 degrees, and the relative humidity is 20. There are times when, in just a few hours, especially if it's made of ebony, you'll start to see cracks. It could take 4 or 5 hours or 4 or 5 days, depending on how well cured it is. It's similar to the pieces, but sooner or later, unfortunately, it can crack on you. If you do things more or less the way I'm telling you, the way I recommend, because I'm speaking from experience, not just the scientific or technical side, but because it actually happened to me in the early years, I ended up donating them to a chess club and they broke on me. I also learned the hard way years ago. 8 ebony pieces broke on me. I only had them for 4 hours at 22% relative humidity, and they all cracked. The only one that survived was a bishop, and the rest were all broken. So that many years ago, that motivated me to study the physical chemistry and mechanics of materials with a specialization that's available here in Mexico for chemical engineering. And yes, and I applied it a lot to this topic because it's something I'm passionate about. I really like it. I see it as an investment, and obviously, well, it's all thermodynamics and fluid mechanics and mass transfer. But that's, in the end, the technical part. What matters to me is what they don't tell you. What is it that they don't tell you when you go to buy this? They don't tell you that with this, if you drop a piece there, it's going to leave a mark forever. Most likely that's how it's going to be, and that these aren't breathable woods, that you have to take really good care of them, and that those bags are only good for transporting them to prevent bumps, scratches, or just that. But they're not going to help you at all with the environment. This is the best thing you can use. And I'm not tied to any brand. But for me, this is the best one that has delivered in every way, for warranties, for quality too, for flawless boards. But I really recommend that you be very careful. Any questions, clarifications? I know that perhaps some dedicated followers I have and some of the audience from these very same brands I previously mentioned might want to ask. And actually, one of them already spoke up in a previous video where, well, they told me not to discourage people, so to speak, from buying the luxury boxes. It's not that I'm trying to discourage anyone. It's simply about informing. Of course, everyone can buy them if they want. It's their own money. I'm just saying that they might be useful for you to transport them from one place to another, maybe so they don't get scratched, but not for storing them there forever. Same with the bags. They're so your boards don't get scratched when moving them around, but not for keeping them stored there even for a short period. By short period, I mean 3, 4, 5 days. If you leave them there, they're very likely going to start getting damaged. Same goes for the pieces. So, as always, I'm here if you need anything, friends. Give it a like, and I'll see you in the next one.